Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Swami Jyotirmayananda Society, our journey to self realization. Please subscribe for the mystical meanings and to enjoy daily satsang. We are currently exploring the book Advice to Householders, authored by Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. In today's satsang, we will be discussing austerity and yajnas. Austerity that leads you to the highest. As we have pointed out, Grihasthashram or householder life is the backbone of society. All those who belong to the other three ashramas, students or brahmacharya, vanaprastha, those who are retired, and sannyasa, those who have taken to the order of renunciation, they all depend upon the householders. If householders are not well disciplined, society will not have disciplined students, it will not have mature aged people who can guide others, and there will be no spiritual teachers. Therefore, the responsibility of grihasthashram is of immense importance, and a lot of attention is needed to um, flourish that the householder portion. The story of Kaushika Brahman. Let us learn this through a story. The scriptures highlight the glory of Grihastha Ashram or householder life as a training ground for the highest attainments in life, an opportunity to practice austerity of the greatest merit. The Mahabharata tells the story of a Brahman called Kaushika who practiced intense austerities in a forest. One day, while in deep meditation, he was disturbed by a bird who let fall its droppings right on his head. He looked up in anger, and the bird was burnt up. Due to the practice of austerity, he had generated psychic power which caused the destruction of the bird. When he saw what happened to the bird, he developed a spiritual pride that he had attained perfection in his sadhana or spiritual discipline. After a little while, he went out to get alms from the nearby village and he knocked at the door of a householder. A lady came forth and said, "O venerable Brahman, please wait. I will give you something." Saying this, she went back to her house and, due to some development that came up in her household, forgot all about the Brahman waiting at the door. After quite some time, her husband came home and she began to attend upon him. While doing so, she suddenly remembered the ascetic at the door. Feeling regret for the delay, she quickly brought the food for the Brahman, saying, "Please forgive me for taking such a long time to serve you." The Brahman merely looked at her with great sternness and said, so the lady instantly said to him, she said, "O Brahman, please don't think that I am the bird that flew over you in the forest. I can't be burnt up like that." Kaushika was surprised and he asked, "How did you know of that incident?" There was no one around. She replied, "In the performance of my duties to my family, I have gained special powers." Kaushika asked, "How can it be possible that a grihastha, a householder, can attain psychic powers without practicing intense austerities while living comfortably at home? You have not practiced austerities, and yet you were able to tell what happened to me in the forest." The lady replied, "I do not have time to spare. I have a lot to do. However, you may go to a spiritual person who is a butcher. His name is Dharma Vyadha, righteous butcher by name, who will give you the answer." So, out of curiosity, the Brahman Kaushika traveled a long distance to find a village where the butcher dwelt. He was intrigued by the idea that he could learn something from a low class butcher. When he reached the village, he found Dharmavyadha engaged in weighing the meat and selling it to people. The butcher, having seen him from a distance, said, "Oh, yes, I know someone has sent you here. Please wait." After he finished his job, he took the Brahman to his home and there he gave him an elevating spiritual teaching. He taught him that austerity is not confined to some disciplinary practice. Greater austerity is practiced by householders when they have to adjust day by day to so many demands. When they continue to perform their duties, even in the midst of difficult situations, they acquire the merit of having performed great austerities of a householder. If a brahmachari, a bachelor student, were to keep awake on a vigil for one night, he would be so proud, feeling as if he has performed a great austerity. A grihast, however, sometimes keeps awake night after night. If a child cries, if the roof leaks, if a certain problem demands his attention, he performs his duties without developing any spiritual pride as a matter of his duty. So, one must understand that Grihastha ashram or a householder life is a field for very intense austerity towards spiritual advancement. It depends upon the angle of vision. Once you change the angle from bhoga or sense pleasure to moksha or liberation, your life then becomes like a stream of prayers and austerity that will lead you to the highest goal. As you change that angle of vision, you will not feel a sense of contradiction between a householder's life and spiritual sadhana. Many grihasthas feel that since they are householders, it is not possible for them to follow the spiritual path in an intensive manner. Many feel that modern society, with all its rush and tension, puts such a demand on their time that there is no time left to practice yoga. How can there be liberation for a grihastha? They ask. If I were not a householder, I would have lived in a forest and concentrated all my energy on attaining enlightenment. But this is a layman's concept and it is fraught with error. Nothing could be further from the truth. All the tasks you do with the correct angle of vision are sadhana, spiritual discipline leading you to the highest goal of God realization, mukti, self realization, nirvana. If a householder is performing his duties with faith, devotion, and insight, then he is in a better situation than many of the brahmacharis or celibates and sannyasis, those belonging to the order of renunciation, who have turned away from grihastha ashram due to sentimental reasons. If a person adopts the order of renunciation without having a mature basis for his choice, he is less likely to advance than a sincere and introspective householder. So don't feel bad or don't complain if you are living a householder's life. You are doing a lot of tapasya. It's the inner intention that matters more and how you balance your day to day life. If you live in a spiritual center performing certain duties, you may develop a sense of great achievement within yourself. A sannyasi living in an ashram, having read a few books of Vedanta philosophy and having practiced some spiritual discipline, may suddenly develop the idea that he has developed a great height, that he has mastered anger and passion, that he has conquered his mind. He begins to look down upon others. He may, not that all do, but in the early stages, ego can take hold. This spiritual pride becomes the greatest obstacle to his spiritual growth. So, the very thing that took him high is now bringing him down. On the other hand, because householders are being put to test day by day, it is harder for them to develop such crippling spiritual pride. If a grihasti or a householder develops the conceited notion one morning after prayer that he has conquered anger in his personality, the chances are that by nightfall, after being continuously tested by the demands of others around him, he will again lose his temper as well as his false pride. The scriptures have given many examples of enlightened grihasthis. King Janaka, Sita's father, was a householder and also a great king. In spite of this, he was a fully enlightened sage. Thus, it should be remembered that every ashrama or stage in life has its own dignity and value, and can lead a sincere aspirant to the highest. Every situation in which you are placed has evolved out of a karmic law backed up by the divine plan. The infinite intelligence of God is behind it. Therefore, do not complain about your circumstances. By complaining, you accomplish nothing. But if you utilize every situation with a relaxed mind, it begins to unfold its spiritual purpose. It becomes a part of your sadhana or spiritual discipline. So, sadhana for a householder in the modern world. The problems posed by the modern world have to be viewed and tackled by a mature mind. Such a mind is not steeped in orthodoxy but is ready to understand the true spirit of dharma or religion. Fill your days with integral yoga. If you want to grasp the true spirit of the Hindu religion in a brief and precise manner, study the Bhagavad Gita. The Gita gives you the best guidelines. And you know, we have recently completed the entire Bhagavad Gita. We have chanted every single shloka, all 701 of them, all 18 chapters. And that's a scripture that we should keep going back to again and again to lead a good human life and to also progress spiritually. It's the encyclopedia of spirituality in a condensed and a summarized form. The Gita teaches us that everyday life should be performed by following one's dharma, by one's duties, no matter what they may be, in the spirit of karma yoga, with the understanding that by your actions you are worshipping God. By doing so, your heart is purified. Gradually, you become free of anger, hatred, greed, passion, and other impurities in the lower self. As you perform your actions in this manner, you begin to develop devotion to God or bhakti. Devotion endows you with a peaceful mind. You begin to advance in meditation. Meditation leads you to the unfoldment of wisdom, which enables you to realize I am not this perishable personality, I am the immortal self. Thus, in daily life, there should be a blend of performance of one's duty of karma yoga or devotion, action, bhakti yoga or devotion, and dhyana yoga or meditation, and wisdom is jnana yoga. So a holistic blend of these is known as integral yoga that should be a part of our daily life. So with this we conclude our satsang for today, and we will continue this beautiful journey in tomorrow's satsang. Hari Om Tat Sat.